I think Paul Skenes is pitching this weekend.
Yeah.
Derek Shelton kind of with double speak there. No, he's scheduled to start in Indy, but there's always a chance for anybody. And then Greg Brown, the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates, was on with the PM team yesterday, and he had the best theory out of anybody I've heard so far. And that's Paul Skenes pitched on 4 days rest for the first time, maybe in his life, but certainly in the last couple of years. They wanted to get him to Louisville, have him throw a side session, see how he felt, then probably today see how he feels after the side session. If he's feeling good, you make the announcement that Paul Skenes will start Saturday against the Chicago Cubs. That makes a ton of sense. That's the theory I'm running with, Dorin. I think that is what happens. I think by this evening, we're going to hear Paul Skenes scheduled to pitch in Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, Shelton could have shot it down, too, if he knew that it wasn't going to happen. He could have easily just been like, yeah, like he's not pitching in Pittsburgh this weekend. He was like, oh, there's always a chance with other players, and, we deal with these situations all the time. He's scheduled to pitch. I mean, it's kind of, it's trending upwards big time. And, we did a little deep dive in Garrett Cole yesterday and his kind of process, and it was 3 days before they announced, and 3 days before he pitched, they put it out there. So this would be almost exactly the timeline as Garrett Cole, so it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, like Derek Shelton talking to Starkey could have just been like, no, he's not going to be here.
Yeah, man.
But I also think that for real that he doesn't know.
I think he doesn't know because I don't think Ben Cherington knows. I don't think the Indianapolis manager knows. I don't think Paul Skenes knows. I really buy Greg Brown's theory. Mm-hmm. It's all dependent on how Paul Skenes feels when he wakes up today and when he goes and he talks to the medical professionals and the pitching staff and the manager in Indianapolis. If he feels good today, I think he's pitching on Saturday. So they wouldn't tell Paul, hey, you're definitely pitching in Pittsburgh on Saturday. They probably didn't tell him anything. They just want to see how he feels. And then the second he says, you know what, guys, I feel like a brick you-know-what house. I feel like $1 million. They ship his ass to Pittsburgh.
Is there any chance he says he doesn't feel right?
You know what?
Like, as a young player that is just kind of bored.
I've thought long and hard about that since Greg Brown talked to the PM guys yesterday afternoon, man. Like, it's a natural lie to tell. I feel great. Shoulder's a little sore.
No chance. Zero chance that you say, I could use another week.
But the reason I've thought about this so long and hard, and I'm happy you brought this up, is because he's a smart guy, and while he's a competitor, I think he also realizes it's going to be sooner rather than later that he'll be in Pittsburgh, and he's got to think about the length of his career here. I don't know that he would lie. I also don't think he's going to feel bad.
That too.
He probably feels like $1 million.
Yeah.
He threw 65 pitches.
He's 22 years old.
He's 22 years
21.
old. He's 6'6". He's built like a mule. He's going to feel fine. That's why I'm so confident now he's going to be pitching in Pittsburgh on Saturday. And to your other point, Derek Shelton could easily have said, he's scheduled to pitch in Indianapolis. There's always a chance for any guy. If he wasn't going to be here Saturday, if there was no chance, Derek Shelton could have easily just said, you know what, Joe, I understand why you're asking the questions. I understand why everyone's speculating on this. He is the number one prospect in all of baseball. We picked him 1-1. He's a special talent. He's had a ton of success in Indianapolis. But he still has more boxes to check, and he's not going to be pitching for Pittsburgh on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, you can also make the counter argument that maybe he's been told, Derek Shelton, by the PR machine that is the Pittsburgh Pirates, keep stringing these dudes on. The more you talk about Paul Skenes, the better it is for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mm-hmm. The reason I'm not going to buy into my own counter argument there, my own devil's advocate argument there, is because the longer they put it off while the hype machine rolls, the more they're ultimately going to get crushed for it. Like, the closer it gets to that incoming Super 2 deadline that's going to be in early June, the more people are going to start saying things like the Pirates are cheap, the Pirates are worried about arbitration, the Pirates are worried about 5, 6, 7 years down the road. That's not going to wind up being good for them. So I think it's happening, and we saw Quinn Priester last night, and I am embarrassed By the way, I talked about Quinn Priester yesterday. 2 out of his 3 starts have been good. His ERA going into last night was 3.31, and I wanted so desperately to believe in Quinn Priester. And I'm not going to say because he had a bad start that means you throw the baby out with the bathwater and that this guy's not going to be a good major league pitcher. But as I was combing through Quinn Priester's stats yesterday, guys, his ERA was 3.31, but and bear with me for a second as I get into the analytics weeds here, his xFIP, so fielding independent pitching, which is a greater predictor of future performance and more of a real evaluation tool than ERA, was like 6.5 or up near 7. Mm-hmm. So his ERA was 3.31, but the predictive numbers said, oh, no. This is smoke and mirrors. This guy's going to come crashing down to earth. And boy, did we see regression to the mean last night. And so I do think that factors in part of it. I said yesterday, hey, look, the Pirates starting rotation, their last 80 innings, they had pitched to a 2.8 ERA. Their starting rotation has been the strength of the club this year. And I said, I'm starting to believe more in it. I said Quinn Priester should stay and Bailey Falter should be moved to the bullpen. Mm-hmm. It almost doesn't matter how you cut it now. Bailey Falter, for as surprising as he's been, should not hold a rotation spot over Paul Skenes. And if it's going to be Quinn Priester who gets pulled, I'm okay with that too. He's made 4 starts this year, 2 of them bad, 2 of them good. He made a bunch of starts last year. He was not very good. So this idea, well, the Pirates aren't scoring runs, and boy, they didn't score runs again last night. Their rotation's not their problem. Common sense would indicate that the Bailey Falters of the world and Quinn Priesters of the world aren't going to shove every time they take them out.
How disappointed would you be or will you be if he isn't brought up this weekend? Like how not upset, but how just, air taken out of your sails will you be if he's just not here?
They need to punch me in the excitement feels, for lack of a way better way of saying that. I was really hoping after their 3-game winning streak that because they were playing a really bad Angels team, that they would find a way, even if they weren't playing good baseball, to sweep those guys. Now, best case scenario is you're looking at winning 2 out of 3, which Meatloaf said ain't bad, but you are guaranteed now to have a losing record against the A's, the Angels, and Colorado. You need to inject some juice into this team, and selfishly, I'd like them to inject some Pirates life into me. I thought they were starting to turn it around a little bit here, and last night, man, they come crashing back down to earth. Not only does Quinn Priester stink and you give up 9 runs, but you're shut out going up against a guy that had an ERA damn near 6. I don't know that there would be a true, legitimate ripple effect adding Paul Skenes to the equation, but I don't think it would hurt the clubhouse.
No.
I do think, I don't know, pick a guy, Rowdy Tellez or any of these veterans or any of these young guys. Hey, we got Paul Skenes now. I do think it might give them a little bit of a boost. And that's an intangible, and you don't know what the value and the worth of that is. You know what the value would be of him taking the ball every 5th day or every 6th day or whatever it would be. But I do think there's a certain level of intangible that bringing Paul Skenes into the fold would provide. And I'd like to see it. I'd be bummed.
Okay, you didn't answer my question.
Yeah, I'd be bummed. Okay. Because it's at the earliest, then it would be May 21st. So now you're going another 13 days without this guy. And then if you're getting close to that, because they're not going to debut him on the road, now you're getting ever closer to Super 2, and I will be very mad. I will be irate if they don't call him up until June. Because everything that is wrong with baseball, everything that is wrong with small market clubs, they would put on full display if they waited until after that Super 2 deadline. So I don't even want to be thinking about that. If they don't call him up this weekend, I'll be thinking about that until May 21st.
Yes.
And then if they don't call him up May 21st, I'll really be thinking about that. I don't want to think about that. I don't. So I would be bummed, to answer your question like a politician long-winded there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.